Let's do our fit check for today. I just got myself ready. I have some stuff to do, but I really wanted to make a recording. This is, I'm actually pretty impressed with the fit that I've put together. Some jean shorts, just a tank top, and this is actually my fiance's jacket. I don't even know if they've worn it yet, but I am. I've got a little gold necklace, and I put my hair up like half up, but I straightened it. And one thing about me is that I've never really known what to do with my hair. I used to, like, in high school, straighten it every single day, and I don't straighten it much, but I thought today it would look kind of nice if it was, like, pulled back. It's second day hair, so wearing it naturally wasn't really cutting it. But here we are, a little bit of a long fit check for you. Hope you enjoyed. Today we're going to be just doing a little bit of an unscripted fun video. Well, maybe not super fun, but we're going to be talking about some things Unite should do to make their game better. If they made these changes, I personally believe that Unite would immediately be a better game. And we're not talking about the classic matchmaking and teammates being bad and being paired with win rates below 50% and how easy it is to get to Masters and all of the complaints that we normally have. We're talking about some easier fixes to the system itself that might make Unite better. And this is coming after there has been a recent announcement that Unite is starting to do a lot more with their game. Groudon is coming to Thea Sky Ruins. We're finally getting some map changes after years of waiting for these changes to happen. They have announced that patches will be taking place more often, Pokemon will be coming to the game more often, and they're trying to do more with the game by releasing more things. One of the complaints that I have consistently had about the game is that it needs to do more, because just releasing a Pokemon that people like is not going to attract the amount of players that the game needs quickly enough. It's just not enough. They need to do a lot more. So keeping this in mind, that Unite is listening to us, and we are able to give feedback that they are taking into consideration, and it's clear that they do want this game to be a good game, I have 5 suggestions. The first suggestion that I have is the user interface. The user interface is one of the most confusing systems that I have ever seen, and I think personally that if I didn't already play Pokemon Unite and I wasn't already familiar with all of the menus, it would be extremely overwhelming. Personally, I feel like this is something that Unite really needs to change, because I think that it's possible that it is preventing players from being able to access the game. I think accessibility is a big thing for a lot of games, and I think that Unite needs to fix this. The user interface has like 1,000 menus with a bunch of different options. There's so many different missions. There's 87,000 events going on. There's solo challenge. There's rank up with a friend challenge. There's your daily missions. And it's really difficult to find where anything is because of the organization of this menus. My suggestion would be to limit the amount of missions that are happening at once, or just make it easier to access them. The events tab should have the featured events plus the daily missions or daily events tab, but there should not be as many menus within those tabs as there currently are. I just think it's super distracting, plus the Switch can't keep up with all of these things, and it's really confusing to get to. That I really think that if Unite changed the way that this user interface operates, made it easier to claim all of the missions that are happening, that Unite would immediately be a better game. And I'm not a game designer, I'm not a graphics designer or a user interface designer, but come on, even I know that it's such a mess. Along those lines, the user interface being difficult to navigate, the second thing that Unite should do to make this game better is limit the amount of useless currencies that are in the game. Now, I know that useless currencies are part of the free-to-play game structure. A lot of free-to-play games use a lot of different currencies because the goal is to have a lot of things bombarding the player at once so that they feel the need to collect as many of them as possible. But I really think that Unite overdoes it. There are so many currencies and most of them are useless. You have energy rewards that are used to exchange emblems. That's really the only thing that they are used for. Fashion tickets, which they have not updated in years, so everybody who has played the game a good amount has everything they could possibly get from the fashion tickets exchange. There's the Hollowware tickets, which are, again, useless. There's so many Hollowwares that are in there, except they haven't updated the Hollowware exchange for the Hollowware exchange tickets in forever. There's the tickets, there's item enhancers, there's coins, there's gems, and then also there's limited time currencies that come along with each of the events, like the exchange shops that are used every season or so. There are so many currencies, and a lot of us just have all of these currencies taking up space in our boxes, and they just don't do anything. So I strongly believe that either Unite needs to make these currencies actually valuable, or, in my personal preference, just limit those currencies to begin with. You don't need to make a new currency for exchange events, please. The next thing that I think Unite should do is add more stats for us to see. I love statistics, and people love big numbers, and I think that adding more statistics will allow for players to see a little bit more of what is actually happening across individual games, across many different games, and generally across their profile. So there is the end of the game stat screen, which we didn't used to have. The fact that Unite has added this has been great. We can see the amount of damage we've done, the amount of damage we've taken, and the amount of damage that we have recovered, as well as the number of KOs, the number of assists, and the score that we had at the end of the game. I think that we could use the number of times KO'd stat, the shielding stat. I think these would be extremely valuable for us to know. Besides the end of game screens, we also have some statistics on our personal profiles. We can see our win rates, and we can see for the current season what our win rates are, how many battles we have done, as well as our favorite Pokemon and our win rate on each of these Pokemon. I think that adding more stats to these screens could be really fun, and this has also come as the 4th anniversary has ticked over for the game, where they give us the end of year summary, which doesn't really tell us much. What if they told us the number of KOs that we have gotten all year? What if they told us the Pokemon that we played the most that year? The highest ELO we got to that year? Things that would make it really interesting for people to grab that image and advertise how well they have done that year. I think that the battle record screen should also show the records for previous seasons. You are allowed to see the total as well as the current season, but I think, having a menu where you could select the season or select a period of time that you would like to see the win rates for, just so that you can go back and take a look at previous seasons and see how you've done. That might be a little bit reaching, especially considering the UI is already a disaster and super laggy, but I do think it would be fun. Along these lines, I also think that Unite should be giving us more stats generally across the board, not just for individual players or individual games, but for the entirety of the player base. I think that having stats at potentially the end of the year or even the end of the season that they post, maybe on Twitter, they don't even put it in the game, they maybe post it on Twitter or summarize it in a YouTube video. Like, this season, players played this Pokemon most often with this % win rate. The purple team won 51%, the orange team won 49%. Something like that just gets people talking and gives us a reason to take a look at and reflect on our experiences in the past season. The next thing that I feel Unite should do is add more emblems and add more information about emblems. Currently, the emblem system is extremely difficult to navigate, and they haven't really put anything new. Plus, emblems aren't even allowed in the highest level of play, meaning that I personally feel the system needs an extreme overhaul. It's really difficult to build emblem pages and not very intuitive. It's difficult to move through the selections. It's difficult to even pre-build emblem pages. I feel like having the option to generate a random emblem page would be fantastic. I feel like adding more emblems pretty consistently would be great. I have about 3,500 maybe energy reward exchanges that there's just no need to use them on. I think that you should be able to trade emblems with other players just for the collection aspect, maybe get some rewards once you have collected all of the emblems from a specific generation, or you've collected all of the emblems of a specific type. Like maybe you get a low tier hollowware or some coins or achievement points, or something that encourages people to continue collecting emblems. We have just gotten the platinum Latios and Latias emblems, meaning that we are finally able to make a 7 Navy emblem page, but there's not really much to talk about there. Unite has seemingly introduced this emblem system and eventually forgot about it. They give out emblems as rewards all the time, but it doesn't really seem like it's beneficial or worthwhile at all. Plus, the people that have been playing the game for a long time have accumulated so many resources, and the players that haven't been playing the game for a long time, it's really difficult for them to catch up and build the proper emblem pages that they may need for a ranked battle. Potentially giving these players an emblem page to start out with that's decent, and then over time they can accumulate those emblems, or giving them limited licenses for emblem pages that they can use during the games, just so that they have something to work with. They should do that, similar to how they give new players the max item grade tickets for a couple items that they can use it on, and the limited max item trial grade, to make sure that they're not playing extremely below everybody else that they're being paired with. Emblems are just a thing that could be really cool, and when they first came out, it generated so much hype for the game because everyone was so excited to exchange them and build pages and do interesting things with them. And it's just something that has been forgotten. Finally, the last thing that I want to talk about that would immediately make Unite a better gaming experience is having more intense punishments for bad behavior. Now, I said I wasn't going to talk too much about the actual match experience in this video, and that I just kind of wanted to point out some logistical things, but I think to round this video out, we should still talk about this, because this is still one of the main issues that I've seen many people have in Unite, besides matchmaking win rates and teammates and things like that. Griefing and AFK is a huge problem that we face throughout the game, whether it be connection issues or people intentionally trolling other players. The fair play point system is just not doing it. There are plenty of times that I have mistakenly disconnected mid-match and ended up being AFK, and my team having to suffer through the rest of that game without me, and I have been reported for it, and it does not matter. Personally, if you have a connection issue, yeah, it's not your fault. But also, the rest of the gaming experience for the rest of the players has been completely ruined, and I still think that action should be done to make sure that that gaming experience does not continue to be ruined for other players. I think that even at the most non-problematic level, having an AFK in your game still ruins the gaming experience for everybody involved. And action should be done to make sure that it doesn't consistently happen. The fair play point system doesn't do anything. You get 20 coins per day, and for most of us, that does not matter. If they want the fair play point system to work, I think that taking way more fair play points off for AFK players would be super beneficial. Potentially having the highest amount of fair play points should actually give more rewards in the first place. And having a low amount of fair play points should give less rewards and more punishment. My idea for, dealing with griefers and AFKs and trolls and whatever you want to call them is to create low priority queues that obviously would be much longer because you can only match with other players in these low priority queues. So it would be really difficult to get out of, because it would be difficult to find matches in the first place with other low priority players. And then the goal of that is you have to complete a match in the low priority queue with a bunch of other players that are being punished for you to be allowed back into regular queue. You can still play the game, but it's going to take much longer for you to get back to the rest of the world's queues. I think in general, more intense punishments are needed. I think that players should be locked out of ranked, or even potentially you are forced to play a standard battle or forced to play a quick battle before you're allowed to go back into ranked. Just something that disrupts that player's experience so that they can better understand how much they have disrupted other players' experiences. There's a lot of ideas, I think, out there for how to potentially punish griefers, but it is a serious problem that a lot of us have because they're so common. I feel like any gaming session that I've had in Unite ends up with an AFK or a griefer or a troll or something that ruins the experience of that game. Even over the span of just a couple hours, I stream for maybe 2 to 3 hours at a time, and even in those situations, I have griefers every single time. And I imagine this gets worse for large streamers with big audiences because people want to either show off or cause disruption to that streamer's experience to see how they react and get a reaction out of them. Even not streamers and just people playing casually, I personally feel like, based on the experiences that I've seen, that most players have had very consistent experience with griefers, which means that they need to do something better about it. Just yesterday, I was playing completely off stream, just by myself, grinding the rest of the way to Masters, and my last 2 rank up games, I had AFKs. 2 in a row AFKs that we ended up winning because I was playing Latios, and Latios is broken. So those are 5 things I feel Unite should do to make this game a better experience for all of us players, and also things that I feel could attract more people into the player base. I'm not exactly sure when I will be posting this video, as I am moving a state away to start a new job in a couple of weeks, and I will be taking the month of August off from streaming and content creation to go through the process of moving and adjusting. So this is going to be like a pre-recorded video that I post at some point at the beginning of August. But if you are interested in, keeping up with me while I'm taking that break from content creation, I will still be posting some things over on my Patreon, which you can access for free if you are interested. And if you are able to pay for it and support me financially in that way, I really do appreciate that. I would love if we had you over there for a little bit of more discussion. You can also join my Discord. I'm plenty active in there. It's a very friendly and fun community that gets to a little bit more of the funny side of what me and my community are like. So if you are interested, we talk about not only Unite, but also other Pokemon games, anime, and other interests that a lot of us have. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter. Sometimes I post there. I don't know. I'm on Twitter a lot. Sometimes I post, sometimes I don't. And I will still be playing Unite. So that about does it for me for this video. I would love to know your thoughts. We can have a lot of fun discussions in the comments below. Please be nice to everybody, and I will see you all next time. Bye!